Imagine this problem. Everyone wants what you make. Silk, porcelain, tea. But you don't want much in return. No foreign goods. No strange products. No promises. You want one thing. Money. Hard money. Now imagine the rest of the world scrambling to find it. This problem isn't modern. That was global trade with China hundreds of years ago. It was already shaping global trade during the Ming Dynasty, and the problem hasn't really changed. For much of history, China wasn't just another economy. It was the backbone of the global economy. By the time of the Ming Dynasty, China was already the world's manufacturing center in the 15th and 16th centuries. Chinese workshops produced silk, porcelain, and metal goods at a scale no one else could match. Silk that couldn't be copied. Porcelain Europeans couldn't reproduce. Tea that became a daily habit across continents. These weren't luxury novelties. Instead, they were global essentials. Everyone wanted Chinese products. Almost no one could compete. Foreign merchants came to China because there was no alternative. This gave China enormous leverage in trade, not because of force, but because of global demand. The Ming state understood this advantage. It didn't need to chase trade because trade came to them. Here was the problem for China's trading partners. China exported a lot. China imported very little. European merchants arrived with goods to trade, but China wasn't interested. Exquisite wool? No. Manufactured goods? No. Foreign luxuries? No. Ming officials weren't hostile to trade. They were selective. China already produced what it needed, and foreign manufacturers offered little value. So China set the terms. If you want our goods, you pay in silver. Not credit, not barter, just silver. This wasn't arrogance, it was monetary policy. Silver mattered because of how China's economy worked. During the Ming Dynasty, silver became central to daily life. Taxes were increasingly assessed in silver. For example, land taxes and commercial taxes. Large transactions used silver. It was the foundation of the monetary system. This shift mattered because it meant silver wasn't just money. It was access. So when foreign traders showed up, China didn't need their goods. It needed their silver. And so trade followed the same rule. Once that rule was set, trade became one-directional. Silver flowed into China and goods flowed out. If silver flowed smoothly, the system worked. Over decades, this created massive trade surpluses. Quietly, systematically. Sound familiar? The world adapted. European traders didn't argue with the system. They worked around it. European powers searched everywhere for silver. They mined it in the Americas. They transported it across oceans. They risked lives to keep trade moving. Not because they were forced to, but because Chinese goods were worth it. Silver poured in from Japan. Later, from the Americas. Shipped across oceans just to reach Chinese markets. This was basic demand and supply. China didn't chase foreign markets. Rather, foreign markets chased China. The Ming court didn't manage global trade. It simply set its terms. This is important. Trade imbalances didn't come from aggression. They came from structure, from preference, from incentives. The rest of the world adjusted. For a long time, the system felt solid. Silver inflows supported taxes. Trade supported production. China remained the manufacturing center of the world. But stability depended on one thing: continuous silver supply. When silver supplies tightened, pressure spread through the economy. Trade slowed and prices shifted. Tax burdens tightened and local stresses appeared. Stress appeared not suddenly, but gradually. The system didn't collapse from panic. It strained under its own design. For centuries, silver flowed into China through trade, but very little flowed back out. European powers, especially Britain, eventually found themselves short of silver to pay for Chinese goods. When trade could no longer be settled the old way, pressure built to find alternatives. This set the conditions for the Opium Wars against China led by the British Empire. This story isn't unique to China. It's a pattern that shows up again and again. It's a recurring pattern in global trade. One region produces more than it consumes. Another consumes more than it produces. Money flows to bridge the gap. As long as currency flows, the imbalance feels natural. When it doesn't, adjustment begins. The key insight is this. Trade imbalances don't feel dangerous while they're working. They feel normal, efficient, even boring. The Ming Dynasty didn't design a bubble, it designed a system. And these systems always have limits. The lesson is about structure. Countries don't export too much by accident. They export because global demand exists, and because incentives reward it. Trade reflects incentives. Trade surpluses emerge when demand, productivity, and money align. And countries don't run deficits because they're weak. They do it because the system allows them to. Trade balances reflect choices, preferences, and financial design. That was true 600 years ago, and it's been true many times since. 600 years ago, during the Ming Dynasty, the world learned a lesson. When one economy sits at the center of global demand, money flows toward it. Different goods, different currencies, same pressure. And that's why the story still matters. That's why understanding the past helps us understand the present. Not because history repeats, but because systems do.